Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am filming a book haul today. So it's been a while since I did the last one. If you have watched book hauls on my channel, I don't do them often. I buy way too many books. I'm like every other reader on here. We always say the same thing in our book hauls, like I buy too many books, but it's true. For this haul today, this isn't like everything that I've acquired since my last one. I'm just going based on like recent stuff that I've acquired. We're just gonna do it. There's no rules on this channel for book hauls. This is just recent stuff that I've purchased, and or I also have a bunch of galleys that I've received from publishers. I'll do that at the end. Not really hauling because I didn't purchase them, but I want to share them with you and get you excited about some upcoming books. So today, what kind of sparked this book haul video? So my partner, he is out of town, and so I went to downtown Mesa. I live in Phoenix. I went to just go get a sandwich, chill, get into a new like area, see what's down there downtown, and I stumbled upon this bookstore that has a bunch of like way older used books, like not really anything recent. And I was going through and I found some stuff that I'm really excited about. So I'll explain why as I go through. But so the first one I have is Spring Snow by Yukio Mishima. This cover, I really love this. It's like this lilac, lavender situation. But I have heard a lot about this writer. He is from Japan and he committed suicide in 1970. And I know he writes a lot of like queer books about like queer longing. And so I'm really interested in this. So saw that, had to pick it up. Next up, I have The Needle's Eye by Margaret Drabble. I picked this up and another Margaret Drabble. This one's called The Realms of Gold, because recently CJ, my bestie on here, she read a Margaret Drabble book. I forget what it's called, but she really liked it, and it came from recommendation from Lauren Euler. And so I saw these two and I wanted to get them. Don't know what they're about. If you've read Margaret Drabble, let me know. Next up, I got two Iris Murdoch books, A Fairly Honorable Defeat and An Accidental Man. I love these older mass market paperback covers. They're kind of endearing even though they're not the prettiest. So yeah, I picked these up because I really want to read Iris Murdoch. Interestingly enough, in my recent author interviews with Julia May Jonas and Lauren Euler, they both mentioned Iris Murdoch, and so I want to read her. And then also on Twitter, like on book Twitter, I saw a tweet from someone, his name's Alex Shepard, I think he's like a critic or something, and he said, can someone write the think piece on like why everyone's reading Iris Murdoch right now? And I just think it's interesting that like she's kind of getting popular in like literary fiction circles, so we'll read her and report back. Then I have The Awakening by Kate Chopin and The Lover by Marguerite Duras. These I picked up because Rebecca Eats Books. She recently did a video with her friend going to a used bookstore, and I think they mentioned The Awakening by Kate Chopin. I think they bought a different book by her, but it's something I wanted to read for a while now, so I'm gonna check this out. And then this one I've been wanting to read ever since I read Rachel Kushner's essay collection, and she had one essay in there about Marguerite Duras, and she seems like DWM vibes to the fullest. It's a slim little book, and I think this is her most popular. So excited for that. So that was my used bookstore finds. I got those all for like 20 bucks, which is wild. And then I'll also want to share some books that I have purchased myself. The first one is Woman Running in the Mountains by Yuko Tsushima, introduced by Lauren Groff. This is a New York Review of Books Classics release. It just came out, well, it's from the 1940s, I believe, but they just reprinted it or republished it. See, this one I think has DWM vibes, so captures the private intensity of early motherhood like none other. So I'll read you a little bit of the blurb. It says, alone at dawn in the heat of midsummer, a young woman departs on foot for the hospital to give birth to a baby boy. Her pregnancy, the result of an affair with a married man, is a source of sorrow and shame to her abusive parents. For her, however, it is a cause for reverie. Her baby, she imagines, will be hers and hers alone, a challenge that she also hopes will free her. Her first year as a mother is filled with the intense bodily pleasures and pains that come from caring for a newborn. At first, she seeks refuge in the company of another woman, or other women, in the hospital in her son's nursery, but as the baby grows, her life becomes less circumscribed as she explores Tokyo, then adventures beyond the city into the countryside. Hella DWM vibes, new mother, wandering, thinking. We love it. Sorry I'm going kind of quickly. I am kind of in a rush today. I have dinner plans later and I'm trying to like get stuff done. So sorry for being very quick. Next up, I picked up Moon Witch Spider King by Marlon James. And oddly enough, I picked this one up the day after it was released. It came out like last week. And I found a used copy of this already and it's signed. So I think someone purchased this, started reading it, realized they didn't like it, and then sold it back to the library or to the bookstore. But you can return books to the bookstore within 14 days. So I feel bad that they didn't know that. but I lucked out for getting this book for cheaper. So basically, this is a fantasy series from what I understand, and this is the second in the series, and I've never read Marlon James, didn't read the first one, so you're probably wondering why, Jalen, would you buy the second in the series? Well, I looked up a review of this book, and he said that he would like, or he just suggested that readers could read this book first before reading the first one, because he said each of the three in the trilogy are kind of a different telling of the same situation. And so he thought it'd be interesting to see if readers picked up this one first, like what they would get from it, or like what their interpretation of events would be, and like what the true version of those events is. So it sounds really good. This one follows the Moon Witch. I don't really know anything about this, but basically it kind of had more DWM vibes. And so that's like purely the reason why I want to read this one first. And I heard it's a little bit more easier to read and digest. And so yeah, I wanted to read something kind of fantastical out of my comfort zone, and this one sounds good, and this cover is just to die for. So then next up, I saw about this book on Twitter, and it's a horror novel. So I haven't read horror in a while on this channel, but I do love horror, so I'm excited for it. It's called Manhunt by Gretchen Felker Martin. And first of all, this cover is funny because this book is about, it's like post-apocalyptic, I guess. So it says, Beth and Fran spend their days traveling the ravaged New England coast, hunting feral men and harvesting their organs in a gruesome effort to ensure they will never face the same fate. After a brutal accident entwines the three of them, this found family of survivors must navigate murderous turfs, a sociopathic billionaire bunker brat, and awkward relationship dynamics, all while outrunning packs of feral men and their own demons. So it's like post-apocalypse, kind of zombie vibes, but it's feral men, and they're trying to navigate murderous turf. So I guess we're following a cast of trans women. I think it's 2 trans women and 1 trans man, I think. I don't know, but I saw some praise for this one. I saw Tori Peters blurbed it, and Carmen Maria Chado also blurbed it, and I love them both. So I really want to try this as my next foray into horror. So we will see. It sounds interesting and kind of batshit, and I'm excited for it. The next one is also a new release that I purchased. It's called Strangers I Know by Claudia Durastanti. And this one is a translated book from the Italian, I believe, so it's translated by Elizabeth Harris. And this is one that I think will maybe make an appearance on the Booker International long list this year, but it has blurbs from Jhumpa Lahiri, Ocean Vuong, Lauren Groff, and I think it's like auto-fictional about Claudia's family growing up, and I guess it's just written really well. Don't know too much about it. I just love this like neon green and like gray cover. It's so cool. Then next up, I picked up, I still have the receipt in here, Cleopatra and Frankenstein by Coco Malors. I really dig this cover. Just like has a really nice color palette, and it looks really like HD in person, if that makes sense. I really want to read this one because I've seen it kind of buzzing around on the bookish internet, and I guess it's about a couple's impulsive marriage and I think addiction and just a fraught relationship dynamic. And so it has comparisons to Sally Rooney and Conversations with Friends, and you know me, I am a Rooney Toon, so I wanted this one. Next up, I picked up Notes on an Execution by Dania Kukafka. This book was recently reviewed by Katie Kitamura in the New York Times, and my book club at my local bookstore, they're reading this next month, and so I bought it. I guess it follows, or it looks at a serial killer, but it focuses on the women that he's affected. And so it's more so about them rather than the serial killer, but I love stuff like that about serial killers, so I think it'll be good. I guess it's kind of literary too. Britt Bennett blurb, and Katie Kitamura was hyping it up, so I want to read it. Next up, this is another hybrid recommendation from Rebecca Eats Books and Lauren Euler. It's Mating by Norman Rush. So I saw someone was talking about this on Twitter, and I saw Rebecca Eats Books was reading this recently and really liked it. And then Lauren Euler, when I was rereading Fake Accounts, I noticed in the back at the end, she paraphrased a quote from this book in it. And then she's also mentioned that she really likes this book. So have to read it after all that. Next up is a book called Being Dead by Jim Crace. This one I bought on a whim because I was watching an Otessa Moshfegh interview from last summer. She was talking about this book. Someone asked her about something regarding like narrative and death or something, and she said this book blew her mind. I've never heard of this book before, and I bought it on a whim online. I guess the book starts with a couple that is found murdered in some dunes, and then it kind of follows or looks back on their lives and how they ended up being murdered. And I guess it's like beautiful. And if Otessa Moshfegh says it blew her mind, I need to read it. So that's that one. Finally, I bought this book called, don't know how to say it, Defenestrate by Renee Branham. This is a recent release, and it's a debut about a young woman fascinated by her ancestors' legendary falling curse and trying to keep her own family from falling apart. People in her family have experienced different types of falls, but but then I guess it also reflects on all the ways there are to fall, from defenestration in 19th century Prague to the pratfalls of her childhood idol Buster Keaton, from falling in love to falling mid-flight from an airplane. So I love books that kind of use, what is the right word, like a motif? It kind of follows one theme and kind of looks at it in different situations. It sounds good, and I like this cover too. But again, with like that lavender situation, I love it. This stack is wobbling. And so now I have a bunch of galleys that I've received recently. I'm gonna go very quickly through these. Some of these I don't really know too much about them, but let's do it. First up, Ocean Vuong, Time is a Mother. Do I need to say more? Ocean Vuong poetry, I'm gonna read it. We will see. Next up, We Do What We Do in the Dark by Michelle Hart. Riverhead sent this to me. It's about, I think, a woman who has an affair with another married woman. And it sounds juicy and gossipy, longing. Tori Peters blurb. I'm down. Next up, When We Lost Our Heads by Heather O'Neill. This one is about two young women in Canada with a friendship so intense it not only threatens to destroy them, it changes the trajectory of history. So it's set in 19th century Montreal, and it follows these two women. I guess it's kind of dark and how they grow up and like their dark friendship, and things get kind of wild, I think, by the end. I saw that Mona Awad, she blurbed this one and did an event with her, and so I love Mona Awad. So I trust her opinion, and Riverhead sent me a copy, so dope. Next up, Cult Classic by Sloane Crosley. FSG sent me this one. It's out in June. Oh crap, I didn't say when these are out. So this one's out now. This one's out in May. And Time is a Mother is out in April. Apologies. So this one's out in June. So this one follows a woman in Manhattan. She sneaks out of a dinner with old friends to buy cigarettes, and then on the way back, she keeps running into different boyfriends in her life. And so I guess she finds herself subject to the conspirings of one very contemporary cult run by people with an unusual interest in her romantic future. So it's funny, weird, a romantic thriller, smart, brainy. Lauren Euler mentioned that she was really excited for this book, so I am excited for it. Hype. Next up, Mirror Made of Rain by Nahid Patel. This one has a blurb from Brandon Taylor, which major. And she actually reached out to me on Instagram and offered to send me a copy of her book. And so this one comes out in April. An exploration of class and tradition in contemporary India. Sounds interesting. Next up, All Down Darkness Wide by Sean Hewitt. This is out from Penguin Press in July. And I guess this one is a queer memoir from an Irish writer. Sounds good. Love queer stuff. Heartbreak, longing. We stand. Next up, I have The Deloriad by Missouri Williams. This is a weird book out in March from FSG MCD. I love their little like paperback series that they have. I usually tend to love these ones, so very excited for it. But I know CJ loved it, and I guess it follows like this post-apocalypse incestuous family. That's all I know, but it sounds creepy and weird and dark and messed up, and I'm excited for it. Next up, I have New Animal by Ella Baxter. This is out now from $2 Radio. I really like them. They published The Deeper the Water, The Uglier the Fish, which I really enjoyed. And so this one is a look at a woman who, I think she works in the mortuary business as a cosmetic mortician, and then she ends up, her mom passes away, and then she flees to Tasmania and stumbles into the local BDSM community. It's giving DWM, and I'm excited, and I like this cover. Next up is The Candy House by Jennifer Egan. Don't know what it's about, but I know it's a sister novel to her very highly praised book, A Visit from the Goon Squad, I think is the title. Yes, and it won the Pulitzer Prize and the National Book Critics Circle Award as well. So high praise. I need to read the first one before this one, but publisher sent it to me. I think it's pronounced recitative, not sure, but it's by Toni Morrison. It's the only short story she's ever written, and it has an introduction from Zadie Smith. This one is sent to me from Knopf, so this is out now. This one's out in April. Sorry everyone, unprofessional. This is out now, and I guess it follows a story of two women, but I think what Toni Morrison does is she never indicates, I guess one of them is black and one of them is white, and throughout the entire story, you don't know which is black and which is white, and it kind of blurs the line there and makes the reader question their assumptions about them. Sounds good, sounds very smart. We'll be reading soon. Next up, I have Nightcrawling by Layla Motley. This is a debut novel coming out from Knopf in May. It is a dazzling, unforgettable novel about a young black woman who walks the streets of Oakland and stumbles headlong into the failure of its justice system. A debut that announces a blazingly original voice. I think I saw something about this writer, and I think she's very, very young. I could be totally wrong about that though. Sometimes galleys have like these blurbs from the editor about like why they're publishing the book, and it says, a debut like this would be a staggering accomplishment under any circumstances, but when I learned that the writer, Layla Motley, was 17 years old, I was astounded, and I'm sure you will be too. 17, publishing a novel with Knopf? I think I'm gonna read this very soon. I'm very intrigued by this, but okay, that sounds good. Next up, I have String Follow by Simon Jacobs. This one randomly came in the mail from MCD FSG. Again, these small form paperbacks, love them. They're often like horror. This one has a blurb from Mona Awad, and I think this is a Southern Gothic about a group of friends and like a weird dark force plays on them. That's all I know, but this cover's kind of cool. Next up, I have Lesser Known Monsters of the 21st Century by Kim Fu, out from Tin House now. This is a collection of short stories that are kind of weird, I think, but I really liked Kim Fu's story called Scissors in the anthology that came out last year called Kink. And so I'm really hyped for this. She seems to be really like skilled storyteller, and I also saw Carolyn Hampsey. She just read this book and she really liked it. High praise. Next, I have Unlikely Animals by Annie Hartnett. This one comes out April 12th. This one, I don't know what it's about. I'm assuming it's about animals. It says a lost young woman returns to small town New Hampshire under the strangest of circumstances in this one-of-a-kind novel of life, death, and whatever comes after. I really wanted this one because my friend Hunter at Shelf by Shelf on Instagram really likes this writer and liked this book. He already read it, so I'm excited for it. And the next, I just got these in the mail like an hour ago. This is Homesick by Colin Barrett. This is a short story collection that I requested because it's short stories, and Brandon Taylor really liked this collection and had like insanely high praise for it. So he's also an Irish writer. And then last but not least, a very buzzy book that I'm shocked that I got, I'm very excited about, is Young Mungo by Douglas Stewart, out April 5th. I'm so bad at this. Okay, Homesickness is out May 3rd, and then Young Mungo is out April 5th. This is the writer of Shuggie Bain, which I have not read, but I'm guessing this is going to be a story of queer love and working class families. Brilliant second novel from the Booker Prize winning author of Shuggie Bain. So we'll see if this one gets Booker buzz as well, but I know this is about queer love. I think it's gonna be sad, it's gonna mess me up. I think I saw someone say it's not as sad as Shuggie Bain, so that's why I'm gonna take my chances on this one, but they sent me a proof, which is sweet. Woo! That was fast. I feel like I'm talking very quickly, I apologize. But that is my book haul for you. Let me know what you're excited for in the stack. If you've read any of the ones that I've shown, please let me know. Where should I start? What do you want reviews from first? I always love a push from you all to let me know what you want me to review and read, so let me know. But anyways, I will catch you all in the next one. Bye.